since we're probably waiting on a few more stragglers, a large portion of this class is going to do with body language and reading cues. So guess what? All the way up, guys, because we're going to have to do it up here. Normally I do this in a classroom, so we're pretty close, but I need you guys to be able close to see what we're doing. First 3 rows is fine. Thank you, much better. Plus then I don't have to project as loud. How many have had the first part of this class? I see a few familiar faces. Raise your hand if you had the first part of personal safety. Just a couple. Okay. I'll give you the full introduction then. My name is Rick Hamilton, and I am a former law enforcement officer. I used to be a SWAT member and a hostage negotiator. Then I went to a criminal investigator. Why am I giving you this class today? Because of all my training and experience in those fields, we were able to break down why situations happened and kind of reverse it a little bit and think, all right, if this is why it happened, if we give you that information, you can look for it and you can prevent it from happening. Okay? It's kind of like the car dealers putting the seat belts in the car. They're not going to ride along and make you use it, but it's there for you to use. Okay? Personal safety and self-defense. The first part of this course was mostly personal safety. I'm going to review a little bit of that for you, so it'll catch you up to where we are now. Who knows the difference between personal safety and self-defense? Anybody? Take a stab at it.
Personal safety would be maybe doing preventative measures to make sure you don't need to use self-defense.
Exactly. Okay? Personal safety is preventative measures, like, examples? Safe distances. Seat belt. Well-lit alleys. Lock your door. All right? Be aware of your environment. We're going to get into more of that. Okay? What's self-defense? Beating people up. Yes. Yes. Protecting yourself from getting harmed. That is the actual physical part of protecting yourself when it's happening. Personal safety is everything before. But when you come down to a situation where you have to do something, it now becomes self-defense. However, self-defense isn't always karate chops and kicks. Okay? Self-defense can be very, very simple, because not all situations are going to require to punch somebody. I was teaching a personal safety self-defense class to an elementary school. And one of the students had been out in the hall that wasn't part of my class, but he was listening. And when he came in at the end of the class, he came up to me and said, well, I don't need to take your class because I know all about self-defense. I take Taekwondo. Well, that's great. I'm glad to hear that he's taking some kind of martial art to protect himself at his age. But then ask him, well, what if somebody grabs you and you don't want to punch him? Now what do? Taekwondo is punch or kick. That doesn't leave you a lot of options, right? Okay. Where you guys are going to be working, we need to give you those other options. So let's start off with, and use the stairs, please, guys. I need 3 volunteers. Come on up. And I will let you in on a secret. The volunteers later and later and later through the class don't have it as easy as the early volunteers. All right, so let's say you're out somewhere, maybe in a parking lot here at the school, because this can happen anywhere. We're not just talking about on the job, right? This can happen anywhere. So you see somebody coming up to you, pissed off, ready to come at you. Okay? So I want to see your best self-defense pose on 3. Okay? So kind of role-playing with me here a little bit. All right? So imagine your head, okay, an attacker's coming at you. And when I say 3, I want you to jump into your best self-defense pose to be ready for him. All right. 1, 2, 3. All right. Awesome. What do you guys think? Good choice? Good choice. You know what the number 1 self-defense move is? Avoid. Go the other way. Then you don't have to worry about getting physical because you're not there anymore. Well done. How about the second one?
You can still be seen a little bit, even though you're crouching.
Okay. If you actually went all the way to the ground and covered the back of your head, it'd probably work for a bear. But a human, probably not so much. Okay? End of story there on that one. All right, how about our third one? What do you guys think?
Totally
Squared up with them.
Right? Oh, he's ready. He's loaded. Let's do it. Okay?
Which is bad because, like, if I'm...
Which is bad.
Yeah, like, no, because if I want my licensure, that's obviously gonna, like, prohibit me from getting it, so... That's the first thing that pops into my mind. Do I really want to do this? Like, put a lot of hard work into this.
Yeah. So you got to think about the situation. Now, his is a very natural reaction. What we have to start working on is overcoming those natural reactions so that you maintain control of the situation. And not just a situation where someone's attacking you. Could be a situation of somebody getting irate in your office. Could be the situation of, somebody just yelling and screaming at you. The scenarios go on and on, okay? But you need to not have one of the natural reactions. You need to be able to control it a little bit more, okay? Thank you. Good job. So now you're wondering, well, what's the right position? What do we do? If you can't run away, very simple. What's this mean? Universal, right? Everybody knows that. So we can't go with the language barrier here. That's simple. Okay? If someone's coming at you, you need to find yourself a very good balanced position to be able to react to what's happening quickly. So the simple thing is, you drop 1 foot back. Now I've got my weight over both feet, and both hands come up here. That's it. What's this mean? Whoa, stop. Hold on. What's this mean? Let's go. Ding, ding. It's on. Okay? Well, if you really don't truly know what those intentions are, this might just change their intentions. Maybe they were just coming up to scare you. They weren't actually going to tackle you or hit you, but they want to scare you to get your wallet, possessions, whatever. And as they're coming up, you do this. Well, all of a sudden, they're going to get defensive. Now you got a fight on your hands you didn't need. But this, it's a stop. They keep coming. Okay? If they're coming really fast, no problem. Go ahead. Move out of the way. Okay? The key is to react to the situation. First, you got to read it, see somebody coming at you. Then you got to react to it. And the quicker you can react to it, the better. In this case, run away, good choice, or hear, or just move and let them keep going. Okay? Once you react to it, then you got to reevaluate the situation because it's constantly changing. So whatever your reaction is going to cause a reaction on their part. You need to now what? Read that. From that reading, you react. Watch their reaction and repeat until you're out of the situation. Okay? Simplest part of protecting yourself. Don't be there. In the first half of the class, we talk about going out onto home visits. You're out in the neighborhood somewhere, and you see some people, gang, could be a gang, coming towards you. Go back in the house you were just in, or go the other way, or if you're close enough to your car, see, just make a good choice. Read the situation and make a good reaction. Okay? Now, if it has to actually get physical, who's had any kind of self-defense training? Almost the entire front row. Awesome. How many of you practice it? I got 2, 3, 2.5, a little bit. Okay, actual fights is not practicing. Yeah. My advice to every one of you is get some kind of training. Now, I'm not saying go up, sign up for your local dojo and take karate or taekwondo or anything like that. If you want to, great, that's fine. Give you more skills. But at least have some kind of basics when it comes to protecting yourself. Or simple little things. And, well, why would you want to do that in this particular group? Because of the client you're going to be working with? Right? What's the most scary client you think you're going to end up working with? Teenagers. Pretty scary, right? You've seen the 12-year-olds, right? They're growing them big now. Anybody disagree that teenagers is the scariest?
I don't think.
What do you think? You don't think they're scary? Okay. I will agree to a point.
Make sure you use your loudest indoor voice.
There was a show, Discovery Channel, something like that, and it was about a pandemic and kind of going towards the end of the world situation. And what they were doing was, it was educational. It was to show you all the steps that went along with that whole situation. And in the middle of there, they focused on kids, that the parents had died or been killed, and now the kids were left to fend for themselves. Every expert agreed that the children were the most dangerous in that entire environment. Anybody know why? Irrational, right?
Hormonal, can't take care of themselves.
The prefrontal cortex isn't fully developed, so all their cognitive abilities are not fully developed.
You are correct, sir.
I'd say they're not very afraid to defend themselves, like how we might be afraid to get into situations like,
Yeah, they can
Yeah.
be invincible.
which leads to the cortex.
They may not be good.
Exactly. They don't have the life experience to handle that situation without somebody guiding them. So all it comes down to is the primitive survival. I need food. They've got food. That's what it comes down to. I feel threatened. I'm going to protect myself. Think about how many teenagers and younger kids really truly have a sense of finality. That, hey, if something dies, that's it. It doesn't come back. You think about it. They have been skewed in the wrong direction. Video games. Oh, you get killed in a video game. No big deal. I'll wait a second, I'll come back and you can play again. Okay? Movies. An actor gets killed in one movie, the next night they're watching another movie, it's got the same actor in it. See the disconnect? And they've done studies. They're missing that piece. So when it comes to situations of survival, they are very dangerous, especially if threatened. Now, I understand most of them, yes, they're going to be calm. But if there's one that's going to go off on you, wouldn't you want to be ready? Yeah. How about other groups?
Fully grown adults, like in the prison population, like if they're losing their kids, if they're in a drug treatment center, they're getting ready to get discharged, and that means that they're going back. And the reason why I say that is because they kind of have the F-it attitude, and they're not willing, or they're not really all that caring what happens to them from that point on. And a lot of them lack the coping skills to deal with that kind of situation.
Mm-hmm. Maybe they take that approach of, what have I got to lose? Or the approach of, I don't want to be here anymore, but I don't want to go alone. I'm sure everyone's read in the newspaper, seen on TV. Plenty of situations like that. They go and take a whole group of people with them.
I was just going to say add mental illness or personality disorder to that group, and it gets scarier.
Now what are we doing? Layer on layer on layer on layer. And they can all just explode that quick. Okay? But I'm going to give you some tips today, and we're going to work on some things for you to be able to start identifying when those layers start opening up and that demon inside's about to come out. Okay? You have to know your situation. You have to control your situation. Now, it's not always going to be super violent physical situations we're talking about. It can be something very common. Simple. I need a volunteer. That hasn't volunteered already. Trust me, it will get harder later. Anybody working in geriatrics? One? Two, maybe? Thinking about it? Okay, we'll see. Maybe by the end of the class, I might have half the class changing their major. We'll see. Old people. Who thinks old people are a problem? They can be a danger to you. Anyone can. Don't be fooled just because they're 89 years old, barely weigh 100 pounds, and can't get out of a chair, that they can't be a problem.
What's up? Oh,
She walks up and startles me. I've got dementia. Now what?
Oh yeah, do the little twisty thingy, but you're so much stronger than my clients ever were.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
You all right?
Are we doing sword training? Oh yeah, like
Okay.
sword training type of thing? Or are we just doing an example?
Right? How do you handle it? Not Taekwondo. I guarantee you, it's not Taekwondo, okay? But you don't want this to continue, because I could hurt her. Anybody could hurt her. I mean, we got small little joints here, right? You can get hurt very easily. But you don't want to hurt the patient, right? Protect yourself, protect the patient. How do you do that? I got a feeling she knows. I heard her say something.
There's a couple of different ones that you can do. And just like, bye, later.
Okay? All right. Not bad. Let's see another one. I'm just curious what you have.
I'm trying to remember, which is probably not the best.
Okay. Either one of those could work.
But probably
What's the
not.
first one? What's the first thing you should do? Be aware of, back up a little bit. Just that way.
Oh. Oh, yeah.
Be aware of the space. Okay? And if you're getting inside the space, know that you're inside the space. And if it happens, that you know what to do. Okay? Have a seat.
Okay, but as
Okay.
strong as you are, how do you get out? Like, you can't walk away.
I know.
You can't even move.
Now I'm going to start picking volunteers. I need you to see that this is going to work. She can't get all the way around my wrist. So it's not a very strong grip. Okay? So just stand here, and I saw, yep, definitely can get around that one.
Yeah, like 3 times. Definitely.
Okay? So, bigger hands, stronger person, doesn't matter. Size doesn't matter. Okay? All you're going to do is take your other hand,
Yeah,
put it on top of this one.
top of this one.
Now, roll that loosely. You're not grabbing. Don't grab.
I'm not grabbing.
Oh,
Just-
heard.
I'm not, you're
Yeah.
not, okay.
You're not grabbing. You're not grabbing. Right? Because if I grab, I'm here. Right? Okay. You're just resting on top. Okay? Now take that hand and pull it through here.
Snap, you thought, that's like a
Were you holding on tight? Hold on tight.
Yeah, hold on tight.
Hold on like you mean it. Like you mean it.
Breakable.
Not your breakable, but wrist breakable maybe.
Cool.
Could you hold on?
No.
Do it again.
Try it again. Okay. Oh.
Okay. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Very, very simple technique. And I'm maintaining control. Okay? Now, we didn't talk about it, I was up here, but being on this side, bring the chair back. Being on this side and I get grabbed here, I know I'm not in range of the other hand. They'd have to come out of the chair to be in range for the other hand. Of course, then I can read that situation and react. So not worrying about the other side, calmly, right? Reaction. Put my hand on top of theirs. I'm not grabbing it. I'm not telling them I'm fighting them. I'm distracting them. Well, wait a minute. That's different. Plus, I'm maintaining where their hand is that allows me to rotate the other one out. Now, when it rotates out, because this one's on top of their hand, you can control that hand and just step far enough away they can't grab you again. If you just muscle it, you might hurt them. Might hurt yourself. Right? Those type things for the clientele that you're going to be working with in the environments that you're going to be in are the things you need to know. Now, if you're a parole officer or a sheriff's working in the jail, a little different, right? A lot different. Okay? But we actually had a student in one of the classes that was working in a prison. Anybody plan on working with prison population? Woo, more hands there. Okay. Is it dangerous? No. How can it be dangerous? You're in a prison. It's bars and guards and all this protective stuff. What's that? You get complacent. Would you be working with the client through the glass using the phone? No. Would you be working with them through the bars? No.
Depends what level of security they're at.
Yeah. They're at that high enough security, you're probably not going to be working with them. You're going to be face to face in the same room. Dangerous? I think so. Do you want to egg them on by getting too physical if you have to? Probably not. Goes for any situation. Somebody can read that wrong and say, oh, you want to fight? Fine, let's go. Okay? We're avoiding additional confrontation with a proper reaction. How do you know when something bad's going to happen? If avoidance is the number one thing that we should do, how can you tell when something bad's going to happen? Body language tells you what? They're prepared. If they're prepared. Body language tells you what else? Irritated. Body language tells you everything. Everything. Who knows how to read body language?
We like to think we can.
You know what? To a certain degree, everybody should raise their hand. Because everybody does it every day. Right? I mean, you can be standing in line at Starbucks and just look at the people in line and can kind of tell where they're at, right? That's reading simple body language. We do it all the time. It's just ingrained in us to do that. It's a form of communication. It's actually used more than verbal communication. But just like you have a white belt in a martial arts system and a black belt, there's different degrees of how much of that you can read. And you guys need to be able to read it all, because you will be face to face with the situations that you need to decipher. Some of the stuff I'm going to show you, you can use anytime, but I warn you, you might not like what you find out. So be careful. Anybody ever ask a question they really didn't want to know an answer to? If you don't want to know the answer, don't ask the question. Okay? If somebody asked me a question and I didn't verbally answer, did I answer? Better believe I did. Now, is it the truth or a lie?
Oh, that's going to be the truth, most likely. If it's body language.
Most likely, if you're reading the body language, it's going to be the truth. But we're all good liars. Who's the best liar? Caught. We're all good liars. We do it every day. What's the difference in what we do every day and the situations that you're going to be in when you're in the field? The difference is what we do every day, those little, we call white lies, little doesn't really matter, right? Okay? But if you're dealing with a client and you need to get down to, all right, what's going on with them, what's happening, what happened, you got to be a lie detector. Anybody know the difference between an interview and an interrogation? You were back there studying before the class, weren't you?
Yes. In interrogation, they're grilling you. It's bam, 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 bam. there's a little bit of time for response. There's a little bit of finesse to it. Interrogation is very aggressive. That's how I see it.
Can be. Can be. Yep, and that could be one way to describe the difference between an interview and an interrogation.
I feel like an interrogation is also like trying to find where the truth is, and you're trying to discover where the lies are.
Give her bonus points.
Bonus points for him.
Woo!
Awesome answer. An interview is just recording information. Notice I didn't say facts. It's just recording information. Example, traffic accident. The bystander's on the corner, the police officer's over there, and he's asking them, what did you see? Whatever they say gets written down. That's an interview. Could be completely wrong. But that's an interview. You're taking the information as truth. Okay? An interrogation, you're digging for the truth. And sometimes, yes, you get it, but sometimes not. Sometimes an interrogation is all about reading the quiet little things. Okay, now does this mean you're going to be interrogating your clients? Maybe. Maybe. Possibly. Okay? You got to be able to decipher that. What are some body language cues?
No eye contact.
No eye contact. Good one.
Whether you're open or closed with your body, like we are closed right now, not on purpose, it's just, but
Oh, I thought it was because you thought I was going to jump off the stage.
I fear you.
It feels really, I've never done this on a stage. I've always been in a classroom, so it feels kind of weird. Yes, so a closed off body position. What are some other things? Some cues you can think of.
Sweaty.
Sweaty?
Yeah, a nervous twitch if it's not like normal.
If it's not normal, that's a very good point. Just because they have a nervous twitch doesn't mean they're lying. You need to determine, is that a habit or is it only coming out when they're lying?
Rick,
Yes.
like the eye contact as well. Culturally, you don't make eye contact. It goes against culture. You better know the cultural components to that individual before you think they're lying to you because they're not making eye contact.
Exactly. There's lots of things you have to consider in here when you're reading the body language. It's not black and white. Anybody, movie buffs, the movie, The Negotiator with Samuel L. Jackson. And there's a scene where he's actually a cop, a negotiator, but he's taken 3 or 4 hostages trying to get to the truth. And he's interrogating this other officer, and one of the guys jumps up and says, "Oh, he's lying because his eyes moved up and to the left." Anybody ever hear that? Okay. Maybe. Maybe not. You got to develop the pattern. You have to read everything that goes along with it. There's not one thing that says this is the definitive answer. It's a combination of everything. And it can start getting complicated. There's a lot of things you got to consider. But if that's the reaction every time you ask them a question, are they lying? Maybe, but probably not. There's a lot of lies out there. Sure. But that's what you got to figure out when they're lying or when they're telling the truth. And if you can pick up cues that you know when they're telling the truth and the way they react, then when you see a reaction that is different, well, that can kind of cue you into, that may not be the whole truth. And you may need to go into that a little bit more to figure it out. Some people are very, very, very good liars. Why? Anybody? Lots of practice, yes?
Or personality disorders that can
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
They can start believing their own lies.
If you tell a lie long enough, you actually believe it to be true. And when you believe it to be true, all the tells for it being a lie are gone. So you got to think about that when you're dealing with a patient. How many times have they been asked this question? Right? Have they just convinced themselves that that's the truth? Another one is they just believe it so much that to them it is true, even though there may be evidence that it's absolutely not true. But people can convince themselves that something's true. And it's just our job to figure out where they're at with that. What are the dangerous situations you're going to be in when you're dealing with your clients and you're trying to get this information so you can do your job? We already talked about prison. What are some other dangerous ones? The homes? Yeah, the homes. Where else?
Irate parents.
Yeah, irate parents. But I'm asking specifically scenarios of a location where you might find yourself in trouble.
Anywhere.
Thank you. Anywhere. Anywhere. It can happen at any point in time. It's not going to be restricted. Just because you work at the elementary school, don't think that you can't have a problem there. Again, 12-year-olds. Or how about the parents coming in to get the kid? Okay? Anywhere. Anywhere at all. Let's focus on one for right now. I need a volunteer. You all right? All right. I'm going to give you a scenario. Yep, stand up. I'm going to give you a scenario. This is your office.
Okay.
Okay? And I'm the client. And I'm coming in today because anybody got a good scenario? I'm getting kicked out of treatment. Thank you. Okay? Now, we're not going to go into a whole long interview process. All right? We're simply going to, here's the door. Okay? What I want you to do is answer the door, bring me into the room so that you can start your interview process. Okay? And right where you would say, okay, this is where I'm going to start my interview process is where we're going to cut it. Okay? So just before you'd actually start, yeah, that's where we're going to stop. Just so you know where we're going to stop. Okay?
Yep.
All right.
Hey, come on in.
Hi.
How you doing?
All right.
Go ahead and have a seat right here. And we cut.
And then we cut. See, she was paying attention. She was paying attention. What do you guys think?
She said you there. I shouldn't have backed up like that, huh? I should have let you come in the room first.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Who's closest to the door?
You're
Is she
kinda
get-
big and intimidating.
Is she getting out? If I don't want her out, is she getting out? Absolutely not.
No.
Sorry. Not going home today.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Need a volunteer. Anybody? All right, I'm going to give you another scenario.
Okay.
I just got out of jail. Did 6 months for domestic violence.
She has a baby in front of her.
Grab on her.
We're all really excited for this baby.
You're good. Okay? Same thing. All I want you to do is bring me in to where we're going to get ready for the interview. Okay?
Hi, how you doing? Come on.
Fine.
Go ahead and have a seat right there. And God, there's another door. And that's it.
And that's it. What do you think? Wrong seat.
Wrong seat? Oh yeah, I need to be on that side.
Yes, you see the door over there? That's your friend.
Right.
You want that door. Okay? Now, there's a couple other little minor things, and I'm going to go ahead and point them out now. Okay? From the very beginning, you have to maintain control. You grab control, you maintain control. How do you do that at step one? I couldn't hear you. Before we get to the chairs. Yes, we're going to, but right here. It all starts right here.
Introduction.
Thank you. I don't know who she is.
I assume you did.
I told you, the further we go into volunteering, the rougher it's going to get. Okay? Take control. Introduce yourself. Okay? Very confidently introduce yourself. All right? Then, when she brought me into the room, yes, she never turned her back on me. That was fine. She let me come in the room. Okay? But kind of lost control as to where I was sitting. Right? Thank you. Next.
Okay, that's over with. Is it the same scenario?
Nope. I like changing scenarios. See, if I keep giving the same scenarios, then you guys stop thinking, and you just. All right. So new scenario. I lost my job. They just repossessed my house. I've got 5 kids, and we're homeless.
Hello,
Hi.
I'm Crystal.
Hi, Crystal.
Nice to meet you. How
Nice
you
to meet
doing?
you. Under the situation, yeah.
Well, come in my office and have a seat on the far seat. And cut. No? Is there a reason you're scooting closer, sir?
I just want to make sure I can hear you.
That's good. You stay right there.
Okay. In here, in a safe environment, funny, right? Although I'm going to make it not funny. She doesn't know. The cops don't know. Only my victims know that I'm a serial rapist with 15 victims. Funny? No. Now, good job at the door. Introduce yourself. Gave a handshake. Okay? Is that necessary for women? No, it's not expected. If you do, that's fine. If you do like she did, and it was a nice, firm handshake. Okay? So there was some projection in there of herself, and I'm going to be in control. Okay? Directed me where to sit. Good job. But then got kind of lost when all of a sudden the chair moved. What should she have done? Stood up? Could? Sure. What else? Yeah. Some way, somehow, take control of the situation and let him know. Her office, she's the boss, you're in control. Right? Can it be challenging? Can it be awkward?
Yeah.
If it's never happened to you before, how are you going to react? And in turn, her reaction is going to cause an action on my part. What do you want that action to be?
A good reaction. So
Yeah, you better believe. Exactly. Okay, thank you. You always, always, always have to maintain control. I can't see that clock back there. All right. I need a guy. I need a guy. Anyone? Several. You already volunteered. He can get out quick, can he? All right. I'm going to show you a situation. Come on over here for me, please. Right there. Right there. Okay. I'm going to show you a situation I guarantee every one of you has seen at least a dozen times. Okay? I'm the client. I'm coming in the room. I've gotten this far. I am pissed. And it's a guy. Stand right there. Stick with me on this one. I won't hurt you. Okay. Okay? How many times have you seen this with guys? Right? So, one, never let him get that close.
Yeah.
Okay? Control the situation before it gets to that. But if it's getting that too fast, get out of the way. Okay? Male, female, doesn't matter. Physically, if you are bigger than the client, you don't want to project that on them, right? Because then you're intimidating. You could say even if you're smaller than them, you don't want to try and project that on them because you're intimidating. Are you there to be intimidating? You're there to be helpful, right? So you got to calm the situation down. But guys have this thing called testosterone that just, when another guy comes in a threatening manner, if you can't react properly, you might have that tendency to just
Step up to me, bro.
Exactly. Now, that would be bad for me to do in this case. I'm sure I would get hurt. But
Hi.
that happens with women too. More and more. You know, they get in your face and get up close and, you know, maybe a little chest bump and see what you got kind of thing. Okay? Don't ever let them get that close. Thank you. That was an easy one. Questions so far? All right. Let's take 7 minutes. You need a break, get a drink, stretch your legs. But only 7, because if you come back late, you're my next volunteer.